Hey guys! Welcome back or welcome to New World Showcases. Here you can expect all kinds of things like data mining and guides around New World. Today we want to take a look at the dungeon The Depths in New World. I want to build this as a kind of dungeon tutorial. Here you should find as a new or returning player everything you need to get into a dungeon quickly and easily. However, I will only look at the normal version of the dungeon here. Maybe in another video we will talk about the mutated version of the dungeon again. But enough said, let me introduce you to what things I want to show you in this video. First of all, I want to show you all the chests that are available in the dungeon. There is actually a surprise here because we have a relatively well-hidden chest. Of course, I will also show you a path here that you theoretically just have to follow to complete the expedition. We will also highlight all the individual bosses in this video so you know exactly what mechanics this boss offers. If you find a fade in here, the tooltips of the attacks. The quests are of course also considered in this guide, but here I will only deal with the repeatable quests. Of course, there are also one-time quests that you need, for example, for the main story quest. As soon as you enter the instance, you spawn in a corridor that leads to a large hall in which there is a column in the middle, which you must channel with your Asoth staffs. After you have done this, you can advance to the next hall. At the end of this hall, a similar scenario awaits you. You have to defeat a few enemies here and can then get through the next door to the west. If you have come this far, simply follow the path to the boss, Boor. Here you must defeat the boss and then down the stairs on the right side. At the end of the corridor awaits you a teleporter that teleports you into the core, which we perceive in the video as a large red room because it is corrupted to the ceiling. In the core, you then run in the only direction you can, which in this case is still the left side, until you meet a portal with which you can teleport. If you move through this portal, you will land in the King of Rot floor. Here you have to fight your way to the southeast. When this is done, you will see that you are back in the boss room where you defeated Boor. You just have to turn west again to defeat Despar. After that, a bridge opens right behind the former location of Boor. Your party must now walk across this bridge to get to the first real boss in the dungeon. After the boss fight, you follow the corridor in northern direction and teleport through the teleporter back to the core. There you can now get to the middle of the core where a boss fight is waiting for you. After the boss fight, you can teleport directly from there to the Crucible of Corruption. Here you just follow the paths and defeat the last two bosses, Archimedes and Thorpe. The first mini-boss is Benat. Benat is not difficult to defeat. He carries a spear as a weapon, which gives him a very long attack range. He has no special abilities, which makes him a simple tank and spank boss. Your tank should definitely turn the boss away from your party though, as Benat's attacks can hit multiple enemies. The second mini-boss is Boor. Boor is one of those demon enemies that looks like Diablo, so he also has the attacks and characteristics attributed to the enemy type. To defeat Boor, you will again have to use only tank and spank. If you manage to weaken his shield, Boor will switch to a staggering mode, in which he does not move and you can use all your cooldowns to deal the most damage in this phase. The third mini-boss is the Lasher. The Lasher appears in a tendril form, and also has the typical attacks and characteristics for it. With this boss you should pay attention to the fact that he has an extremely wide attack range. In addition, he can perform seamless melee attacks and ranged attacks. Here it is best if the tanks run first to the boss, because this is very much damage. The fourth mini-boss is Despar. He is a big demon with a two-handed sword. The attacks of this boss also hit all players standing in the attack direction. Here you should position yourself as a melee fighter directly behind the boss, because his attack area has a very large radius. The first real boss in the expedition is Archedeacon Azamela. The boss is also the first one that brings a real mechanic. As soon as you attack, the boss spawns almost constantly two dogs that you just have to tank with. If you have a very weak group, you should focus these opponents directly. One of the attacks of Archedeacon Azamela is a spell that summons a hand with a skull out of the ground. You should avoid this attack definitely because this also makes a lot of damage. After you have decimated about 40% of the health of Azamela, the boss goes into the second phase. In this phase, Azamela opens portals on the platforms at the edge of the room. Here opens the first time only one platform that contains enemies. This platform you must defeat with 4 of 5 people. Here definitely the healer must be on the platform. One of the players stays behind at the boss and destroys the bombs that the boss spawns. On the platforms are towers that you must deactivate with your ass-off staff as soon as you have defeated the enemies. If you have survived this phase, the boss goes back to phase 1. After you have decimated 40% of the health again, the boss goes back to phase 2. This time you have to defeat both platforms. Your 2 best damage dealers go to one platform and your tank with the healer to the other platform. The weakest damage dealer stays behind with the boss and destroys the bombs. After that, the boss goes back to phase 1 in which you simply have to defeat him. The next boss is Guldar. He is again a great demon with a sword that you have to defeat only with tank and spank. Nevertheless, your tank should turn him away from the group. The next boss is Archibald. This boss is a large corrupted elemental bear that also has the enemy type specific attacks. Here your tank should turn the boss away from the group as the boss almost always attacks in a 3/ combo, and will quickly defeat your damage dealers if they can't get out of damage range. Otherwise, your damage dealers should attack with heavy attacks so that Archibald's shield breaks quickly. Normally, your group should be able to defeat him relatively easily and quickly. The final boss is Captain Thorpe. He is a corrupted commander from Isabella's crew, which is the final boss of the first New World Story Arkansas. Thorpe should be turned away from the group by your tank when he tanks him, because Thorpe's attacks have a very wide angle of attack. As a damage dealer, you should definitely stand behind him or even best switch to ranged combat. The next mechanic of Commander Thorpe is a rush on a player in your group, but normally this is usually the tank. If he channels this onslaught, you should get out of the runway, as this would be a one hit on any non-blocking player. Once you have decimated almost all of Thorpe's health points, he will heal himself and summon some minions. You should defeat these very quickly. About 2 to 4 seconds after the enemies spawn, Thorpe channels a laser that swings through the room. Once you have survived this, it continues as in phase 1 and you simply have to endure the random laser and quickly decimate his health points. Once you have managed to cost Thorpe about half of his health points, he will summon his minions again. Once they are defeated, you will have to deal with all of Thorpe's previously used abilities, but you can now defeat him as well. Those were all the bosses that are in the expedition The Depths. I hope I was able to explain it to you in an easy to understand way. If you have any feedback here, feel free to write it in the comments so I can make it better next time. The first chest you will find directly in the first chamber. You have to look for a tree at the position that looks like the one in the video. After that, there is a small jump event, with which you can get onto the branch. The second chest you will find is positioned directly after the mini-boss Benat. Here you have to defeat a few enemies before you get to the chest. I will again show you the position on the map. The third chest you will find after you have left the boss platform at Boor in the right direction. Then you have to defeat a few enemies, and walk a little distance until you come to a gate that leads to a destroyed bridge. Here is then the chest right next to the gate. The fourth chest is located in the portal room, which you will recognize directly after the first teleport. Here you have to look in the right corner directly after entering, there you will find the chest. The fifth chest is located at the end of the room where you fight the mini-boss Despar. Here I show you on the map. The sixth chest can be found right after the boss fight with Archedeacon Azamela. Here it is right next to the checkpoint respawner. The seventh chest can be found in the heart of the core area, but you can only get it after you defeat the boss Azamela and teleport back to the core area after the boss fight. The eighth chest can be found in the Crucible of Corruption right after you destroy the pillar you see after Archibald's boss fight. I'll show you on the map. The ninth and final chest you will get after the boss fight with the final boss Commander Thorpe. The chest is located just before the boss room. For the instance, I only found one repeatable quest worth doing. It is right before the expedition and is given to you by the alligator Mnukumanesh. As a reward you will get an armor case, expertise, a few coins and 375 territory standing. After that, just follow the quest description to complete the quest. If you have watched the video up to here, I thank you. If you liked it, feel free to leave a like and a subscription. I also like to hear your feedback to make the content as enjoyable as possible for you. In this sense, have fun with the Brimstone's release this patch day, and I keep my fingers crossed so you don't get stuck in the queue for so long.